I officially welcome all of you on a platform called Dialogue for Social Change, which is recently created to discuss on various issues related to social change. Last time when we were discussing, we have elaborately discussed what is this concept of housing and the scope of this housing. Today I am going to present something related to what is this whole issue of homeless, because in society very few people are aware that there is something like people who are on the street. Sometimes when we think we are, because majority people are living in a settlement. Some people live in a building, high story building, or maybe chawls and bungalows and different places. But very few people are aware that even in big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and even Nagpur, you will find people are still homeless. So now looking at different sources or different information which is available, one tries to define who are the people who can be considered as a homeless. So basically, based on different information, it is a group of people or maybe an individual who lives on a street without a roof. Basically, roof means a structure on him. So either temporary or maybe permanent. But when somebody don't have that type of structure, that type of people or group of people or maybe the individual is considered as a person who is a homeless. Now, looking at the situation, like how practically it happens, where these people are living. So there are different, what you call it, basically the dimension to this whole homeless situation in all over the world. So basically people, the people who are homeless, that one of the things which immediately comes into mind, or maybe the people we have observed, is that people literally sleep on a street, or maybe near temple, or maybe railway station, or maybe on ST stand, or maybe or near a big ground, or maybe the, what you call it, basically the place which is a bigger one, and then maybe little facilities are available. So these are the people who are sleeping on a street. People sometimes are living. It may not be all possible in country like India, but in other countries, in abroad, there are people who are called as homeless, but sometimes they stay in a place where they sleep there only and get one time meal, what we call it a breakfast. So those type of people who are staying in a building or maybe the homeless house, because they have this typical criteria or category which is called as a houses for homeless. So they may be there or sometime maybe in the evening, but whole day they roam around, or maybe take some sort of, what you call it, the place on the road. Then there are people who are living next to temple, as I told you in the beginning. People who are living next to railway station, people who are living to ST stand, people sometimes living near temple, or maybe the, what you call it, the playing ground. So those are the people, and you will find slowly this number of this type of people have been increasing, because if you know the city, the structure or maybe the nature of the city, you will find there are a number of this type of people who are staying at the different places. Now the question always comes in mind is that why these people are living, because sometimes there is some sort of myth among middle class or maybe the high class people, that these people suddenly come from the different cities or maybe from the rural area and they stay on a pavement, or maybe they become homeless. Very rarely it happens. If you look at the different studies, people who are homeless are not directly coming from rural area or may not be coming from different cities, but the people who are on a street, or maybe what we call them as the people who are homeless, are basically coming within the cities. And there are different what you call it, the reasons why these people come to the become basically the homeless. So one of the reason is that when family expands and you have small house, then children grown up. So sometimes children are not able to stay in the same house. So one member of that family goes out, and if you cannot afford a new house, you cannot buy a house or you cannot rent house because of your income sources, then naturally you go on a street. So you have another reason is that the people sometimes, looking at the different situation, when there is a strike, when there is a lockout of the building, and then situation like this COVID-19. So number of people every year or maybe every month have been losing their jobs. So when you become unemployed, when you don't have some sort of what you call it, the support income, then in those type of situation also you become homeless. There are a few cases, in fact majority cases you can see, that where people who are staying on a street are sometimes have some sort of health problem. So maybe you are handicapped, maybe you are mentally disturbed, maybe you are some sort of have a serious illness but you cannot afford, or maybe family cannot afford you to treat the medical, or maybe the medical expense, they cannot afford the medical expenses. In those type of situation also people are forced to live on a street. Then there are a few examples where when there are strained relationship in the family, if husband and wife cannot get along, or maybe even children cannot get along with the parent, then in those type of situation also, that children, young children, maybe the woman or maybe the male are also living places and coming out of their houses, so they become homeless. And then there are a few cases where sometimes you find that maybe looking at our family structure, mainly the women who are harassed by their male family members in the house, maybe sometimes by the father, sometimes maybe by husband. So when they are not satisfied, or they cannot live comfortably in their house, then those type of people are also leaving their houses and coming back because of this harassment. And then there is another cases which are slowly coming up. Sometimes something happens like disaster, like your building is collapsed, or sometimes your building is under fire, or maybe sometimes because of the certain government rules your houses are demolished. So in those type of places also, when they cannot buy, or whenever they are not able to afford the house, then those type of people are also coming on the street. Now what happens in this type of situation, like what type of, or maybe what grade of people normally come on? So you will find that there are young people also, even between 15 to 25, 35 years of age. Then there are old people also. So you will find that different categories of people are coming on the street. And then nowadays another category which is increasing day by day, and where the attention is somehow created on this group of children, number of children below age of 14, below age of 18 also coming on street. As I already mentioned, people with health reason. Then sometimes people who are what you call it, the are not supported by services, like hospitals are not treating them, maybe because of the financial. So sometimes hospitals are also sending them, or maybe forcing them to stay on the street. Then there are a few cases where they are refugees from different countries, and maybe because of different reasons they have been coming to different countries, and those people, when they cannot afford the house, then those type of people are also staying on a street. Now, looking at socio-economic profile of these people, one gets impression that sometimes you find that, oh, any poor can stay on a street, but that is not a situation. If you look at the Indian situation and the reports which are available, in fact, one of the report which was prepared in 2019 by IGSS, Indo-German Social Service Society, and that was prepared in 2011, and that report says almost 80% people who are homeless belong to SC category, that is scheduled caste category. 60% people are born in the same city and again becoming the homeless. So it is not people who are coming outside the city, but these people are born and brought up in the city, but they cannot afford the house, so they come on the street. You have this 41% people who are there on the street because they don't have health support, health facilities available for them. And you have this 18% people is basically, though they are staying on the street, still they are not able to get any ration facilities or maybe other facilities for them. Now, if you look at, sometimes you get impression that this situation or maybe this homeless situation exists only in a country or maybe a third world countries or underdeveloped countries. But you will get some sort of the picture or maybe the scene where United Nations organization in 2005 have estimated almost 100 million people all over the world are homeless, out of which 1.6 million people lack adequate housing. And almost in India, you have, if you look at the Indian situation, then you will find in 2005, in India, we have estimated somewhere 100 million, and out of which, all over the world, out of which almost 65 million people in different countries are living on a street. So looking at this whole magnitude and then maybe the situation of people who are living on the street, one starts thinking that once you get because they don't have options, that there are no opportunities for them. At the same time, sometimes you feel that some people, even you provide some sort of opportunity, they may not stay there maybe because of their illness or maybe other problem. But the facts remains is that the people are on the street and they are homeless, and they as an individual or maybe a group of people, part of the society, I always feel that it is the responsibility of the society, or ultimately it is the responsibility of the state to take care of them, because they are citizens of every country. So looking at the state and state's role toward this homeless, you will find, if you start thinking from this Indian Constitution and various legislation created to house the people or provide the housing, you will find there is no single legislation in whole country which protect people for homeless. Like advertisement, you find advertisement for middle class people, advertisement for high income, advertisement for economically weaker section, but there are no advertisement which says that you can get house if you are homeless, you come stay there and maybe pay daily, or maybe you just stay there. So we don't have this, the schemes for homeless people, and then maybe because of that, their number has been increasing. I remember somewhere around 2005-6, there was a Supreme Court judgment, and somehow Supreme Court have directed now to all the concerned parties, like all the municipal corporations of big cities. So you find how many people are on the street and create some sort of what they call it a night shelters for them. And I remember that we were part of this investigation committee in Mumbai, and we have identified certain places. And suddenly we realized that there are certain places which are called as a night shelters, which are already created by municipal corporation, but they were occupied by different people. So basically the people who are homeless are not really using those type of things. So there are chances that this type of night shelter may be existing somewhere. And now there is a clear-cut guideline from Supreme Court which says that it is the responsibility of the municipal corporation and the state government to create some sort of night shelter for this. If you cannot provide house, if you cannot provide food for them, then at least you provide night shelter, because during the cold, during the rainy season, during even the summer or maybe the heat time, basically the summer season, people cannot literally sleep on the street or they cannot sleep on an open space. So you need some sort of shelter, and I feel that this is their responsibility of the every state and municipal corporation. And now United Nations have come up with different guidelines, and it is directly said that providing housing or providing house to their citizen is the responsibility of the state. And I remember that in 1987, when International Year of Shelter for Homeless was declared, that time Government of India has signed on those documents where Government of India has promised that we will create some sort of housing for everybody. So if they somehow perform their promise, then there are chances that the people who are on the street will able to get some sort of permanent or maybe at least a temporary housing for them, because they are also part, and the reports or maybe the surveys which are coming is that they are not absolutely, everybody is not ill, everybody is not handicapped, everybody is not what we call it, they are not working. In fact, they are also contributing to the development of the city. So some of them are working as a domestic worker, some of them are working as a workers, some of them are working as a what you call it, the supplying the milk or maybe the newspapers. So they are also contributing, even if they are also homeless, but still they are also supporting for the development of the city. So city as a progress or maybe developed city cannot ignore this type of quite a large number. And if you look at the certain, what you call it, the statistic is city-wide, you will find number has been increasing day by day, maybe because of the cost, maybe because of the unemployment situation. But now I think everybody has to look at this issue as a serious issue. Many may not be aware, but I think now all the people who are either bureaucrats or the politicians or maybe the NGOs, those few of NGOs are working on this issue. They need to be strengthened, and then other people should look at this whole issue in a very serious manner.